So if you've been a fan of the show since around 2017, you all should know very well how I feel about Ben Shapiro. You all know that my nickname for basically anybody who was full of it, we call it BS. And a lot of people think that when I say BS that I mean, bullshit. I don't mean bullshit. I mean Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro is full of shit, and therefore, I guess technically is bullshit, but I basically consider Ben Shapiro and bullshit synonymous, and it just so happens that both of their initials are BS. So, BS, right? It's Ben Shapiro. Now, why do we say that? Because Ben Shapiro is absolutely full of it. I have to give credit to Kyle Klinsky on this segment because I actually watched his segment yesterday, and I was dying watching it, to be honest with you. It was funny as hell because he's just, you can tell Kyle and Ben's beef goes back literally a decade. they do not like each other. And Kyle, I imagine, because Kyle is intelligent, I imagine his disdain for Ben is more than Ben's is for Kyle, because Ben is a paid troll. He literally. Do y'all remember Randall off of Recess? Y'all remember You remember the show Recess on one Saturday morning, Disney. Come on, if you're a millennial and you don't know that show, you between the ages of 25 and 35, Recess was the show. Randall was the snitch that worked for Miss Finster. Look at Randall. Go look at a picture of Randall right now. Look at Ben Shapiro. Randall, Ben Shapiro. Come on. Come on. Miss Finster. Anyway, Ben Shapiro went on Fox News and made an ass of himself. He complained the entire time. And Ben is the reason that Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin, actually, and a few others, but those two primarily, are the reason that I always tell people that social justice warrior and that outrage culture nonsense is not even close to being limited to the left. In fact, I would even venture to say that outrage culture is actually on the fringe of the actual left. The neoliberals, I don't really consider part of our team. They're like more center left, if even. A lot of times they're center right. But outrage culture is mostly on the fringe of the left. However, outrage culture has become the norm of this Trump generation, if you will. The Ben Shapiros of the world, the Dave Rubins of the world, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, those types. They're always outraged about some random video that they saw on YouTube that is not even close to being representative of the left in any way, form, or fashion. Like some random person went on some random tangent and felt self-righteous and self-entitled, and then Ben Shapiro. Like Ben Shapiro is the kind of dude that does an entire video about people being excited about Black Panther. He was really upset about it. He really was. I'm not even joking. But then has the nerve to complain about the outrage culture on the left. And in this particular instance, he decided to complain about not only quote unquote outrage culture, but Ilhan Omar and her comments, and then the young woman who addressed Chelsea Clinton and her comments. Take a listen.
Being the victim, take a look.
Civilization and the basis for America, this idea that we were supposed to go forth and conquer, that we were supposed to forge into the wilderness and we were supposed to build something out there. That sort of mentality, unfortunately, has been abandoned in favor of this grievance culture, as you suggest, that says that we're all owed something from the world, and if we don't get it, it's because the system has failed us.
Well, and even the shirt that young woman was wearing, T-shirt, when she was confronting Chelsea Clinton, of all people, like Chelsea Clinton's. But isn't that kind of I'm so sick of the phrase "jump the shark," because that's jump the shark. But isn't that telling you a lot about just how pathetic this whole entitlement movement has gone when Chelsea Clinton is targeted?
Yeah, I mean, when Chelsea Clinton is too radical for you because she's too far on the right, I think that maybe you've not just jumped the shark, you've jumped the entire aquarium. It's demonstrative of how subjective feeling have taken the place of objective fact. What Chelsea Clinton had to say about Ilhan Omar was basic objective fact. She was speaking anti-Semitism. Chelsea Clinton called her out on that. And somehow she's now responsible for the Christchurch shooting because she did all of that. But that's how some people feel, and therefore it becomes the truth. And they've been told that they're right and that they're special and that they're wonderful individuals because they go to places like NYU and because their parents told them they were special. And so objective fact never actually has to be brought into the conversation.
Bruh, I don't even know where to start. I don't know who was worse. Laura Ingrahm, Ben Shapiro, Laura Ingram's bad Botox. I don't really know where to begin. But I guess we'll start with Laura, right? First, because I think that part is kind of where Ben is stemming his nonsense from. She's setting him up with that's what they do. Fox News, they set each other up with bullshit and then they follow up with bullshit. So let's address her bullshit first. Entitlement culture. Look at her shirt. Look at her shirt. Well, that's a problem with this entitlement culture. They feel so entitled to everything. Like, of course, how could they dare think that they're entitled to all of the things that their tax dollars already pay for? Like, how dare they think they should get free college and health care and not have their money spent on regime change wars and maybe even not be killed in the street for being a Muslim or a black person, or not have your people slandered and have their name and their identity dragged to the dirt. How dare they? How dare they feel entitled to things that every other Western industrialized country has with the taxes that they pay? How dare they? This entitlement culture, this entitlement movement. Bruh, really? And isn't it funny that this comment about entitlement is coming from a group of I don't know, I hate calling them conservatives because I know real conservatives. I do. And I like them. They're good people. Like, I actually know real conservatives that don't buy into the Ben Shapiros and the Laura Ingrahm of the world. In fact, they don't like them because they feel like they're a bad representation of the right, the way, I don't know, Anna Kasparian is a bad representation of the left. Pew, pew, shots fired. But considering they call themselves Republicans, whatever, we'll call it that. The problem with their entitlement comments is that this is the same right who feels entitled to literally everything. You can't complain about my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Yeah, not if your opinion is completely and totally wrong, you moron. No, I have free speech. Free speech is not an excuse to say stupid stuff. Free speech is only referring to when the government is trying to smack down on the people with their power using the government. You don't just get to say stupid stuff and not be challenged on it when it's clearly idiotic and wrong, which most of the things that Laura Ingrahm and Ben Shapiro say are idiotic and wrong. But God forbid, once again, that somebody else exercise their free speech like the young woman did in that video, like Ilhan Omar did with her tweet. God forbid they exercise their free speech, because then Ben Shapiro is going to go do a 20-minute fucking segment on it and complain and think just because he talks fast that everything he said is true. The logical leaps that Ben Shapiro makes in a single thought, it rivals that of the gymnastics teams in the Barnum and Bailey's circus. I mean, the hoops he jumps through. It's amazing to see. He'll be like, well, let's be honest. Ilhan Omar really didn't even, everything that Ilhan Omar said was anti-Semitic. I mean, she said things about money. She said something about Benjamin. We assume that's Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, of course, if it's Benjamin Netanyahu and he's talking about money, then he has to be talking about Jewish people. And of course, we can draw from that really Jesus wasn't even a Jew, which is why the Jewish people killed him. So if you complain to me about how Jesus was killed by the Jewish people, then you're clearly anti-Semitic. That's all I'm saying. Every time I think Ben, because Ben is very good at the build-up. He's a champion of the build-up. He will build up, and you're like, oh, wow, maybe he's about to make a brilliant point. He's used a lot of big words up until this point. He's spoken very, very fast. By the way, this is a tactic that we often use in debate. Like, almost exact, like Ted Cruz uses a lot during the, not as fast, but, if I speak eloquently, if I speak very fast, if I speak matter-of-factly, if I don't leave any openings, if I speak in platitudes, then you have to believe it. And unfortunately, I am not necessarily proud to say that I was in the same debate organization in college, APTA, which is the American Parliamentary Debate Association, as Ted Cruz was. And Lord knows that was a field day whenever they found out that he was part of our organization once upon a time. Yeah. So then he built himself up so well. And out of nowhere, it's just like, what? How did we get to this conclusion? Oh my God, you really don't care about facts, do you, Ben? Okay, that's where we're at now. And basically, it's clear that Ben Shapiro doesn't care about facts, right? Because he literally used the phrase objective fact completely and totally wrong. Like and then what's worse is he says they take subjective feeling and argue it as objective fact. Then he goes on to say what Ilhan Omar said was anti-Semitic, and that's an objective fact. Except for what Ilhan Omar said wasn't anti-Semitic, and even if you thought or felt it was, that isn't what an objective fact is, Ben. That's not what an objective fact is. That would literally be the definition of subjective feeling, which is exactly what you were just complaining about. And now that I think about it, you're always complaining about outrage culture, and yet you gladly and willfully and gleefully participate in the outrage, the faux outrage against Ilhan Omar, of course, while refusing to critique AIPAC, because, you know, you love all that big money in your bank account, Ben. You know, I ain't gonna tell nobody that your dad used to write articles for you in Breitbart to prop you up whenever people used to tear you down. I ain't gonna tell people how you used to get paid to slander Donald Trump and the general, was it? The general of the primary? I ain't gonna tell nobody about that stuff. You know, I ain't gonna tell nobody. That's gonna be our little secret and everybody who watches this video. But you complain about outrage culture, then you get on Fox News and start raging. Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite. Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite. Go Ilhan. You hate the Jewish people. I don't know where I'm getting that from, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Boy, you are the king of the conservative social justice warriors. So don't go on Fox News and all these other programs complaining how you love it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to talk about. You love outrage culture because you are the biggest, you're the biggest beneficiary of the outrage culture. Meanwhile, my po ass, I gotta sit over here and attack people on both the left and the right. Well, I don't say attack people, critique people on both the left and the right for y'all nonsensical outrage. I don't got time for outrages. I'm not an outrageous type of person. I don't get outraged. Okay, I do get outraged, but only in certain instances. But my point is that, Ben, bruh, this ain't it. I mean, hot damn Bojangles, dog. You literally said the left is all about subjective. They're all about subjective feeling and never about objective fact. It's an objective fact that Ilhan Omar, what she said was anti-Semitic, and it is not a subjective feeling. And if you say that it is subjective feeling, then you're anti-Semite too. Ben, no, that's not how life works. That's not how facts work. And if you want, how about this? We're going all together, before we get out the video, we're going to define objective fact for Ben Shapiro. So we're going to get on this DuckDuckGo, and we're going to define objective fact for Ben Shapiro. An objective claim is a statement about a factual matter, one that can be proved true or false. Proven true or false. For factual matters, there exist widely recognized criteria and methods to determine whether a claim is true or false. In other words, if you're going to say that Ilhan Omar said something that was considered anti-Semitic and call it an objective fact, then you would be able to prove without a shadow of a doubt, using some type of quantitative or qualitative analysis, that it is in fact, by the definition of anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic. But I mean, even if you want to be objective, I hate to hurt your feelings, bro, but anti-Semitic doesn't mean hating Jewish people. I mean, if you really want to be objective, because Palestinians are Semitic as well. In fact, Ilhan Omar is Semitic as well. In fact, Muslims, by and large, are just as Semitic. And some would even argue more Semitic than at least half of the Jewish people who live in Israel, because they're Ashkenazi. They wouldn't be considered Semitic because they are not from the Middle Eastern region. So if you want to talk about objectivity in fact and what objective fact actually means, instead of how you try to twist it like you hyper right-wing nut jobs try to do, we can talk about objective fact, but I'm sure you don't want to get into that. So how about this? You just stick to your outrage culture. Let us who know how to use search engines and define words and phrases, let us stick to the facts and the definitions. And we'll leave it at that. But until you learn how to use those search engines, leave all the facts and all that good stuff to us. You just keep lying to your base. You stay over there. We'll worry about ours. Thanks, Ben. Peace. Thanks for watching that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.